Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Richard Dix Jr. and friends. Today in the studio, it's our guest, a very special guest, Janora Lauderdale, and she is the CEO of Creative Path. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk to you about Creative Path and what it is. But before we get into that, give me a little background about yourself. Let the listeners know and those who are viewing know about who you are and where you come from and what Creative Path is about.
Okay, again, I'm Janora Lauderdale. I was born and raised in Chicago, and I left Chicago in 1999 on a charter startup team with International Academy of Flint, where I was instrumental in helping them implement and open International Academy of Flint. I've worked in various educational backgrounds in Chicago, starting with alternative ed. Then from there, I went to private and the Chicago public school system before coming to Flint. I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in mathematics from Roosevelt University, and I have a Master's of Art in Curriculum and Instruction, Administrative Option from Ferris State University. So when I left Chicago on the startup team, I have worked as a math teacher. I've worked as a math and science department head at International and at Upward Bound at Roosevelt University. I've worked as the academic quality controller, which is another name for the principal of the upper school at International. From there, I've also held positions as associate director of school operations, worked in a juvenile facility where I was instrumental on the Strict Discipline Academy, opening that school in the juvenile facility, where I was also site leader and assessment coordinator.
So, over the period of the years, you've developed quite a few skill sets and qualifications, which obviously has led you to look at other areas and where you could provide a greater service. And I would believe that this led you to opening up a charter school. Give me a little bit background in the listeners and the audience about the charter school and what it's about.
Okay, Creative Path First is the nonprofit that is developing a charter school, a strict discipline academy, will be called Creative Path Academy of Flint. The academy is targeted at risk youth who will be expelled or suspended, court ordered, receiving services from Department of Human Services, and just educationally challenged in their regular homeschool. Most of these youth that come here will be trained in the criminal and juvenile justice focus. So working with, because over the years I've worked with really at-risk youth, and a lot of times educators and just people in general, it is a challenge educating those youth because a lot of times we want to blame the parents, blame society, blame, everyone plays the blame game. But in all actuality, we still must educate our youth. If they are not educated and they become older, now they become older criminals, and they still have to have some type of success to be positive contributors in society. And if we don't train them, who will but the juvenile justice facility? And everyone is not criminals.
And so, in other words, this is an opportunity to intervene while they're still at a younger age, because many of the young people, and I want to say the young students who are attending elementary, sometime even in a junior high, they make bad choices.
Correct.
In transition, they make poor decisions, and oftentimes with the police being the last line of defense or
Correct.
that law enforcement, there's a intent on correcting this behavior, but it leads them into the criminal justice system with the first arrest.
Right.
And from there, it's a sliding scale right into the streets.
Exactly.
And so, from my understanding, the Creative Path intent is to recapture that particular segment of the population that we tend to want to lock up,
Correct.
and offer them not only an education, but a better understanding of what they have experienced. Would that be a fair assessment? Now,
Correct, because a lot of them have. They did not wake up criminals.
right.
The environment, a lot of times in the environment, poor judgment, and it's sad to say that education is not important in every household. And it's because the adults probably not understanding how important education is. And probably once you provide that resources to the youth, at times then adults they want it too. The school would also encompass adults in there. Have a parent university program that will involve the adults learning how to do job resumes, how to provide job skills. So we have to encompass the entire community, the youth, the family, community agencies, and organizations.
And that would be somewhat the foundation to build on their success, to have family, the agencies, along with community. This would be a great foundation. Now, one of the things that you said that may have struck a chord with some individuals in the community is that teaching the students who have had some brushes with the law about the criminal justice system, and to some that would mean they're teaching them about how to be better criminals, or how to escape the system, or how to beat the system. And I certainly don't believe that's the case, but there's some who are confused about that. But why don't you give me some type of understanding about what model are you going to use to approach this?
We want to use the balanced and restorative approach that helps them to give them accountability, to understand the consequences behind what they've done. So using the balanced and restorative approach, it not only works with the victim, it works with the community, it works with the person that has actually committed the crime. Everyone is involved, restoring them back into the community.
So the barge model, balance and restorative justice, has certainly been around for 20 years, and to my knowledge, that this has been a model that has been used in other agencies or schools, and there are currently schools operating off this model, if I'm not correct.
Correct.
Yes, and the balance and restorative justice, as you say, brings accountability, is what I'm hearing. It also gives an idea of how much of an impact the particular offender has had on the victim.
Correct.
And it gives them an opportunity to not only address this matter, and from my understanding, the balance and restorative justice model have a component where the victim and offender will once again face each other, and that's an opportunity to discuss what impact that individual offender had on that victim. And certainly, given that, it would also open up an opportunity to correct the behavior, giving them accountability, responsibility, and certainly addressing the issues that have affected them as victims and the offender. And you say that that's a good model. I believe that's a great model. Now, there's been some challenges moving towards this model, and I'm not saying in other particular communities, but right here in a community that we call Flint, Genesee County, we've had some real challenges. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that would expand or spell out the light on that, shed some light?
Well, a lot of the challenges, I think, and that's with any organization or any project or program you're implementing, is that we get the negative feedback that people feel that it's not going to happen. Why are we doing this again? Oh, here's another program that's targeting our at-risk youth or our violent youth, and they don't feel that they need these type of resources and intervention. But if it was working, we wouldn't have all this crime. We wouldn't have all these youth out of school. We wouldn't have the problems that we're facing today if those programs were working. So to bring in a new program that will work with our youth, why not try it?
Absolutely. And this is a nonprofit, and one of the areas that I like to really commend you on, because you looked at Flint and you seen that there was an opportunity. And one of the areas that we can look at is there's a high statistical data, and we can get that at the Flint Police Department or any other agency, that would show that youth between the ages of 10 and 16, 17, even 18, they have just simply failed through the cracks once they've been kicked out. And so you looking at the statistics, you had become familiar with the area that you serve, which is an academic at International Academy, and you decided to do something about that. That's very exciting, and I like to turn to a comment that was made because there was an article that was written on this particular issue, and it was written by the Flint Journal. It was posted by Scott Atkinson of the Flint Journal, July 20th, 2009, so just less than a day or two ago. Right. This article really shed light on this, hosting about 500 students. And but what caught my eye is that, and I'm going to read the comment. One of the comment made by, posted by apparently a Hoochie Mama 2 is the person that wrote it. But this person says, "Bad idea. Let's just skip the formalities and send them off to pre-prison school where they can start the training to be good Michigan inmates." Now, obviously, these are the comments that just drives to my bone that says this individual doesn't care anything about not only the community, but about the kids.
Right.
And we want to really help these children who are suffering. Can you add to that?
And even, you know, again, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and we know we cannot help all of them. But to make a comment in that sense, we can help some, and why not give it a chance? Why would you want a bunch of young youth that's caught up in the juvenile facility?
Absolutely.
Why would you want that? And we know that it takes $35,000 to $40,000 a year to house an inmate, and it only costs $7,500 to educate them.
Wow.
So, and taxpaying money, why would you want to put them in jail? Why not give them some type of intervention? Why not provide them the resources they're not able to get? Why not? And a lot of them saying, you know, make the parents accountable. Yes, we understand that, but there's not a book to say how to become a parent. No one is going to say I am a bad parent. So why can't we provide them with that resources?
That's right.
We understand everyone is not going to take it, and again, we can't save them all, but we can save more than what we're doing right now.
And the need for this charter school, because the charter school community is actually growing leaps and bounds. Even the President of the United States have talked about the need for a competitive environment, not just with public schools, but to include charter schools. And so this is an opportunity that you've taken as a challenge. Now, when this idea came and you began to build on it, what was some of the things that you had to do?
Well, I thought about, well, I've always wanted to school, even as a young girl. Growing up, I love education, so I tried to take steps years ago, was going to put a school in Chicago, but it was not the right time. When I was working, came to Flint in 99, I think about maybe 2003 or 2004, I started to research the process of opening a charter school, getting a focus, getting a team together who believes in the mission and vision of the school, working with different resources, different departments, different agencies. So over the years, I've had input from a variety of people to provide me on this path. And I know the challenges that I face with getting a board that is active, that represents with the mission, getting people to buy into the idea and the program, that searching a building, searching for an area to place the school, getting training for our board. It requires a lot to put a charter school together. It's not. This is not something I just got up this year and decided I'm going to do a charter school. I've been working on this process since about 2004.
So for more than 5 years,
Correct.
This has been in the making.
Yes.
And you've reached the apex, if I could say. You've reached the point, the highest point of waiting for an authorizer. And before we get into the fact that you're waiting for an authorizer, one of the areas that you pointed out was putting together a board. You're looking for individuals that have qualifications, and one of the areas that I am familiar with is the Michigan Association of Charter School Boards. And this board provided some training for Creative Path board members. Is that correct?
Correct.
and you found that to be beneficial.
Correct.
And what would you say would be some of the differences when we talk about charter school boards opposed to public school boards?
Well, charter school boards, first of all, they are appointed, and they serve. They can serve up to from 2 years on, as long as they're willing to take the position and continue to be appointed. And charter school boards do not receive stipends or finance of any kind. Compared to, I'm not too familiar with the public school boards, but I know they are elected. That's much I know, and they have certain terms. But with the charter board, they have to be dedicated because they, especially the president of the board, must represent that school and with TVs, organizations, whatever entity they need to that brings them out into the public without being paid. And mind you, on the charter school board, they have their regular jobs that they must work at also.
And this is a volunteer group.
Exactly.
Okay, and when we think about a public school, obviously they're not volunteer because they're elected.
They're elected.
And
Correct.
they're paid a stipend. And other striking differences would be that public, when they have a certain agendas on the board, the public can come in and make comments, and seems like it could be hijacked to some degree and control and tell the board what to do.
Correct.
Whereas the charter school will be guided by the CEO or
The charter school is a charter school is guided by the board. The board is the body of the charter school. The CEO reports to the board.
okay.
And even in our board meetings as charter schools, it is open to the public and they are allowed comments, but the board still always should run your board meetings. The public should never run it. They are always advice from the public. They are able to give opinions, but there is a time on the agenda that they are allowed to talk. But the charter school board runs the school and they runs the board meeting.
Now, some of the concerns that, again, some individuals in the community, and this is a very small percentage, who have created some conflict to say qualifications or certifications as it relates to teaching. Can you give me some background or clarification on that?
In charter schools, just like in any other public entity, a charter school is a public entity. Teachers must be highly qualified and they must be certified. And just with any educational organization, whether it's on the elementary or secondary level, there are certain areas that we just do not have those certified staff. They must be in a program. They still must be in a program to become certified. The charter school does not hire teachers that are not certified, just like a public school. Charters are public school. Teachers must be highly qualified.
Okay. Just like public school teachers, they must be highly qualified
Exactly.
and certification. But now there are some circumstances where they can have visiting teachers who do not have certification.
Correct.
And they still teach the class, and to some degree they are there until they can find certified
Right.
teachers.
And that's when you have to either get temporary substitute license for them, and because they are considered as a sub until a certified teacher is found for that position, yeah. And most of those areas include math, science, foreign languages. Most people are just not going into those fields.
And now, besides the qualifications, there's also a number of issues that have come up regarding the pay rate of teachers. We know that teachers overall are generally paid lower
Correct.
than most profession, and without saying anything, there's this need for pay for a dangerous work assignment. Sometime, I mean, this could be a very, very tough career. Now, when we talk about pay, specifically in the charter schools, and I'm going to direct your attention to the creative path. I would imagine that there's no one out there making $120,000 or $400,000 paying jobs. Or what would you average to pay?
A charter school teachers, no, they do not. And it depends on the amount of students you're getting, and depending on the state aid. But I would even say a first-time charter school teacher can be making anywhere from $30,000 and up, depending on the staff. But teachers are not paid as much as they are in the public school setting. They Most teachers that are in charter school are committed and dedicated to the focus and challenge of that school, and is very well aware of of the salaries before they are hired. And don't get me wrong, yes, some of them do leave the charter schools to go to higher paying positions, which yes, you are allowed that. But most teachers in the charter schools are not, depending on management companies. A lot of charter schools are ran by management companies, which takes a certain percentage of your state aid. But Creative Path Academy of Flint will not have a management company. It will be self-managed, because the 10-12% from a management company we can put into different various programs, or different add to salaries and after-school program that works within the school system. So yes, it would be self-managed, but the salaries in the charter school are not high at all, including
So-
administrators.
So overall, we had an opportunity to discuss that this is a nonprofit.
Correct.
This is the board is volunteer board. They're not paid a stipend.
Correct.
The teachers have to be highly qualified
Correct.
and where when possible find the certified teachers to teach in their particular field, or get a substitute teaching qualification. And the pay is moderately and comparative to public, but just moderately low.
Correct.
So this would really debunk the comments that were made following the article written by Scott Atkinson, and I believe he did a great job by writing the article overall. But the comments that was put out there were questionable at best. For some, overall, I believe that there was support out there, and I believe there continues to be support. And we believe that this will be one school that will make a huge difference because of the opportunity for those who have been set aside, who have been, if I could put it this way, suspended, expelled, had brushes with the law. And we have quite a few of them out here that
Yes.
have experienced this, and some seem to continue to experience these setbacks. And this is an opportunity for them not only to get into a school, back into a school, but to be participants in their own destiny.
Correct.
Some of the things will become, we'll say, understanding the balance and restorative justice. They'll understand the process of being adjudicated through the courts.
Correct.
And so these are just, this is a truly an extraordinary opportunity for young people and the community to rally around, so we don't have fiascos like the one in the courthouse where they're fighting, kids hanging out on the street. Not that all these things will change, but it's an extraordinary opportunity to become more involved in their destiny.
Correct.
Anything else you'd like to add that you believe is necessary?
Also, even though we're talking about the balanced and restorative justice, we will still have a basic focus of intensive math and English classes and science with hands-on science that gives them an opportunity to work with forensic science. They still have the history, talking about the diversity in history, not just African Americans, a European, but a diversified history program. And basically, our first hour would always start with immersive learning. Our youth will be involved in behavior intervention plan, because I know we must, first of all, fix the mind before you can fix anything else.
That's right.
So they need behavior intervention plan, basic life skills, because those are the skills that's lacking that is needed in life.
That's right. And so some of the basic skills, from communication to character, these are desperately needed, not just in this particular school, but in all these schools.
Correct.
But this is something that is going to be a very, very good program, and I wish you all the success, and I hope to be there, right there by your side, at somewhere in the background, somewhere, just contributing. One thing I want to say before I get to the next question is that, Ms. Lauderdale, you're holding a town hall meeting to give people more information. Not that we didn't touch it here, but there's more information. And this is going to be on what day?
This is going to be July 25th at Universal Systems from 1 to 3 p.m. That's 1401 East Stewart. And that allow the community to ask questions, provide a voice in the development of this new school. And the community may want to help and volunteer and be on a development team or the board, be a part of the board.
Absolutely. And we're talking about July 25th at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at 1401 Stewart Street, and that's in Flint. And for those who are coming from the perhaps out from Davison or Grand Blanc, if you would just get on the expressway of 75 going north, you can get off on Stewart. And if you just simply make a left on Stewart, on Stewart, you will ride right past and you'll see Universal Systems to your right. If you are coming down Saginaw Street, going north, you could make a right, and that will be on Stewart, and you take that east down Stewart, and you would make a left. And so either way, from either direction, you can get there, east or west, north to south. And I hope that there's more individuals involved. I hope to see our judges. I hope to see state representative. I certainly will be there to support you. And I look forward to the opportunity. At this time, it is necessary to bring, in my opinion, show to a close. And with that, we want to thank the CEO, Janora Lauderdale, and Creative Path. This is Richard Dix Jr. and friends saying, until next time, stay focused.